At 44 years old, with 23 Grand Slam singles titles and nearly 4 years away from the game she once dominated, Serena Williams stepped back into professional tennis in June 2026, creating a moment that felt far greater than a simple return. When the All England club announced that she had been awarded the final women's singles wildcard for Wimbledon, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans, players, and analysts across the tennis world paused as headlines exploded with one message: Serena was back. From the very beginning, her return carried an intensity that made it impossible to ignore. Even before striking her first ball at Wimbledon, the spotlight had already shifted toward an unexpected storyline involving 21-year-old Filipino star Alex Eala. Having grown up watching Serena and Venus Williams dominate the sport, Eala suddenly found herself connected to one of the biggest conversations in tennis. But the story truly began before Wimbledon. Rather than rushing back into singles competition, Serena carefully eased herself into the tour through 2 doubles appearances designed to rebuild rhythm and confidence. Her first stop was Queen's Club, where she teamed up with talented 19-year-old Canadian Victoria Mboko. The pair impressed with an opening victory, but their promising run was cut short after Mboko's injury halted any chance to develop further momentum. Serena then traveled to Berlin, partnering with Czech standout Karolina Muchova, a collaboration she later joked carried its own irony considering her memorable history against Czech competitors. Across both tournaments, the results amounted to 1 win and 1 loss, yet the scoreboard was never the real story, the results themselves were never the defining story. What truly mattered was that Serena Williams was back on the court, competing with purpose and reminding the tennis world that her competitive spirit had never disappeared. Then everything changed with one announcement. Wimbledon confirmed that Serena would compete in both the singles and doubles draws at the age of 44, placing her just 2 victories away from reaching the remarkable milestone of 100 career wins at the All England club, a feat she had previously achieved only at the US Open. The news instantly dominated the sports world because comebacks of this scale simply do not happen. Few athletes step away from elite competition for nearly 4 years and then return to the sport's most prestigious stage ready to challenge in 2 events. Yet Serena has built her legacy by redefining what others consider impossible, making the extraordinary seem almost expected. The plan was to reunite with her sister Venus in doubles, bringing one of the most iconic partnerships in tennis history back together on the grass where they had captured 14 Grand Slam doubles titles. It was the kind of reunion that already felt destined to become part of Wimbledon folklore. However, one unexpected scheduling decision quietly altered the entire narrative. Before Wimbledon, Venus had already committed to playing doubles at the Bad Homburg Open with an entirely different partner, 21-year-old Filipino sensation Alex Eala. For anyone who hadn't been following the rapid rise of Eala, this was no ordinary young talent entering the spotlight. She had quickly established herself as one of the sport's most exciting emerging stars. In Berlin, she stunned the tennis world by defeating world number 2 Elena Rybakina before following it up with another statement victory over world number 8 Alina Svitolina, producing 2 consecutive wins against some of the toughest competitors on the WTA Tour. Those performances transformed the conversation around her almost overnight. Coaches, analysts, and fans began viewing her as a player with something truly special, a rare blend of skill, composure, and natural presence that commands attention the moment she walks onto the court. In the Philippines, Alex Eala had already become far more than a promising tennis player. She had grown into a source of national pride and one of the brightest faces of the sport's next generation. Alex Eala had become much more than an emerging tennis player. She represented a defining moment for the Philippines, inspiring millions and giving her country a powerful presence on the global sporting stage. So when it was announced that Venus Williams would join forces with Eala at the Bad Homburg Open, excitement spread almost instantly. The partnership brought together 2 athletes from entirely different generations, a 21-year-old rising star writing the opening pages of her career and a 46-year-old icon whose legacy had already shaped tennis history. It was the kind of collaboration that immediately captured worldwide attention. When they finally stepped onto the court on June 24, 2026, they lived up to every expectation. From the opening games, the pair displayed outstanding chemistry, storming to a commanding 4-0 advantage before confidently securing the first set 6-3 in just half an hour. Venus contributed her trademark experience and composure, while Eala played with fearless energy, creating a balance that overwhelmed their opponents. The second set proved far more demanding, with momentum swinging back and forth as every point became increasingly significant. After reaching 4-4, they found another level when it mattered most, earning a crucial service break before calmly serving out the match to complete an impressive 6-3, 6-4 victory. Their performance immediately sparked discussion about how dangerous this partnership could become if given more opportunities to compete together. Yet beneath the excitement, another storyline quietly continued to grow. Serena Williams remained in the background, and questions surrounding the sisters' plans refused to disappear. As soon as the Bad Homburg doubles draw was released, many observers began asking why Venus was competing alongside Eala instead of preparing with Serena ahead of Wimbledon. If the long-anticipated Williams reunion was always the objective, why hadn't they used earlier tournaments such as Queen's Club or Berlin to rebuild their partnership? Several analysts openly acknowledged that the situation was difficult to explain, noting that the scheduling choices seemed unusual given their stated Wimbledon ambitions. While no clear explanation emerged, the conversation only intensified. Their impressive opening victory advanced them to the quarterfinals, where an even greater challenge awaited. Standing across the net were second seeds Tereza Mihalikova and Olivia Nichols, an established Slovak-British duo who had been building chemistry since 2024. Fresh off capturing the WTA 500 title at the HSBC Championships and following a runner-up finish in Abu Dhabi, they entered the match as one of the most accomplished doubles teams on the tour, presenting a far tougher obstacle than anything Venus and Eala had faced in the opening round. This was never going to be a match decided by momentum alone. Across the net stood an experienced doubles team that had spent years building chemistry through high-pressure battles, fully prepared for every challenge Venus Williams and Alex Eala could present. The contest unfolded exactly as expected, intense, tactical, and fiercely competitive. Every service game carried significance, and every breakpoint felt capable of changing the outcome. Both partnerships produced moments of exceptional tennis, refusing to surrender control for long. As the deciding set reached its most critical stage, one costly lapse proved decisive. Whether it stemmed from a brief miscommunication at the net or a missed opportunity on an important forehand depended on who was telling the story, but the result remained unchanged. That single moment shifted the match, ending the promising partnership's run after a hard-fought three-set battle. The defeat marked another difficult chapter in Alex Eala's week. Earlier in the tournament, she had already exited the singles draw after a straight-sets loss to Belgium's Elise Mertens, making this her second disappointment in quick succession. It was the kind of stretch that challenges every young athlete, revealing resilience as much as talent. For Venus, the loss also meant fewer valuable matches on grass before Wimbledon, leaving her preparations short of the rhythm she had hoped to build. Meanwhile, Serena Williams watched the entire situation unfold from afar. As speculation continued to grow, many wondered whether she would address everything that had happened. When she finally shared her perspective, the tennis world paid close attention. Her remarks were neither emotional nor confrontational, and she avoided directing blame toward anyone involved. Instead, she delivered her thoughts with measured confidence, offering observations that carried far more weight than a straightforward criticism and immediately fueled even more discussion throughout the sport. During her remarks, Serena Williams reflected on her own decision to partner with Karolina Muchova in Berlin, joking that teaming up with a Czech player was ironic considering how often Czech opponents had challenged her throughout her career. With a smile, she quipped, "If you can't beat them, join them." The comment sounded lighthearted, but it carried a deeper message beneath the humor. It wasn't simply a joke about past rivalries, it was a reminder that setbacks, difficult moments, and costly mistakes are an unavoidable part of every athlete's journey. Even the greatest champions have experienced disappointment. What truly defines a competitor is not avoiding mistakes altogether, but the ability to learn from them and come back stronger. That underlying message quickly became the center of discussion. Within minutes, Filipino fans filled social media with passionate reactions, and opinions were sharply divided. Some believed Serena should have focused solely on her own return instead of commenting on the performance of a 21-year-old rising player. Others interpreted her words very differently, viewing them not as criticism but as thoughtful guidance from someone whose legendary career had been shaped by both remarkable victories and painful defeats. As the debate intensified online, Alex Eala responded in a way that surprised almost everyone. Rather than answering through social media, defending herself, or releasing a carefully prepared statement, she addressed the situation directly during a press conference. Her response was calm, respectful, and sincere. Instead of pushing back, she expressed genuine appreciation for Serena Williams, describing her as one of the greatest players ever to compete in the sport. It was a response that reflected maturity, humility, and confidence, immediately shifting the conversation away from controversy and toward mutual respect between one of tennis's greatest champions and one of its brightest emerging talents. Speaking with remarkable composure, Alex Eala responded in a way that immediately captured the attention of everyone in the room. Everything she said, I accepted as a lesson, she explained calmly. She's experienced challenges I can hardly imagine, and if she noticed areas where I can improve, I'm thankful she was willing to share that perspective. Her words created a rare moment of silence, the kind that follows a response filled with honesty rather than obligation. Instead of reacting with frustration or trying to defend herself, the 21-year-old chose humility and growth, demonstrating a level of maturity that stood out just as much as her performances on the court. Her appreciation felt sincere, not crafted for headlines or public approval, but rooted in genuine respect for one of the sport's greatest champions. Eala then turned to another topic that had generated widespread discussion, the questions surrounding Venus Williams' decision to partner with her before the anticipated Williams sisters' reunion at Wimbledon. She made her feelings unmistakably clear. Sharing the court with Venus, she said, had been a lifelong dream. Having grown up watching both Venus and Serena dominate the sport, the opportunity to compete alongside one of her childhood heroes was something she would always treasure. She also emphasized that her admiration for Serena had never changed, expressing nothing but respect for everything the legendary champion had accomplished throughout her career. Even on its own, that press conference would have been remembered as a defining moment. But the story did not end there. Serena, who had been following the conversation, offered one final response that shifted the entire narrative. She described Alex Eala as a special player, a brief statement whose impact spoke louder than a lengthy speech ever could. Serena went on to explain that she had been closely watching Eala's progress, especially after her impressive victories over Elena Rybakina and Alina Svitolina in Berlin. She praised the young Filipina's movement, determination, and competitive spirit before revealing the comment that resonated throughout the tennis world: Eala's style and mindset reminded her of her younger self. It was an extraordinary compliment from one of the greatest players in history, one that transformed a week filled with questions and controversy into a story centered on respect, recognition, and the promise of a rising star. Only days earlier, a storyline like this would have seemed almost too perfect to believe. Yet it unfolded in front of the tennis world exactly that way. Serena Williams, a 23-time Grand Slam champion returning after nearly 4 years away from competition, looked at a 21-year-old Filipina rising star and recognized qualities that reminded her of her own early journey. Serena continued by reflecting on the unique pressures that accompany greatness, explaining that she understood what it felt like to carry the hopes of an entire nation, to face constant skepticism, and to hear people question whether success was truly possible. She also knew the satisfaction of proving every doubt wrong. According to Serena, Alex Eala was traveling that same road, and if she continued developing with the same determination, her future would have no limits. Those words carried extraordinary significance because they came from an athlete whose career transformed women's tennis and inspired generations around the world. For Eala, for Filipino fans, and for everyone following her rapid rise, the endorsement felt like more than praise. It felt like a defining vote of confidence from one of the greatest champions the sport has ever known. Serena then addressed the question that had fueled so much speculation since the Bad Homburg doubles draw was announced. Many had wondered why Venus Williams chose to partner with Alex Eala instead of preparing alongside her sister before Wimbledon. Serena offered a simple explanation, saying Venus needed a partner who was match-ready, motivated, and eager to compete, and she believed Alex embodied those qualities. She added that Eala's hunger and determination reminded her of herself at the same age. With those comments, the narrative changed completely. What many had interpreted as potential friction between a returning legend and a rising star instead became a story of admiration, encouragement, and mutual respect across generations. A conversation that had begun with a difficult doubles defeat had ultimately evolved into something far more meaningful, a passing of confidence from one era of champions to the next. What began with a difficult doubles defeat in Bad Homburg gradually evolved into a much larger story. It passed through intense online debate, widespread speculation, and a press conference that could easily have fueled even greater controversy. Instead, it arrived at something far more meaningful, a genuine exchange of respect between two players from completely different generations who appeared to share the same defining quality, an unwavering determination to keep improving regardless of setbacks. That relentless hunger, the willingness to push beyond expectations and respond positively to adversity, is often what separates outstanding players from truly exceptional ones. As Wimbledon draws closer, the significance of this story continues to grow. Serena Williams prepares to return to singles competition on the grass at 44 years old, standing just 2 victories away from reaching 100 career wins at the All England Club. At the same time, Serena and Venus Williams are set to reunite in the Wimbledon doubles draw for the first time since the 2022 US Open, bringing one of the most celebrated partnerships in tennis history back to the stage where so many unforgettable moments were created. Meanwhile, 21-year-old Alex Eala enters the tournament carrying the hopes of the Philippines and an opportunity to prove that her breakthrough performances in Berlin and Bad Homburg were not isolated moments, but clear signs that she belongs among the sport's rising elite. Yet the real significance of this story